Alright, so today we are going to be talking about the 3 special moves. This video will be less than 10 minutes, I promise. Not like the 20-minute ones. So, this is going to talk about en passant, promotion, and castling. So, in this king and pawn endgame, White has just played the move e4, and as you can see, his position is indeed slightly better, because his pawn is a bit more advanced than Black's pawns. We have an equal amount of pawns on the queen side here. As you can see, 3 pawns to 3 pawns. They're pretty well locked. So got one pawn that's planning to creep its way forward. The king is somewhat active. The king can find its way to defend. Yeah, that's what's going on in this position. And so imagine that this was you, and imagine that Black just played G5. And you can see by the bar here that White has immediately been favored. Why is that? Because en passant. And now, if you look, promotion. And if you don't already know, promotion is when a pawn reaches the side board and turns into whatever you want. In this case, we're going to turn it into a king. And now this position is just completely winning. And now we're going to come in with the queen, and yeah, this position is just going to keep getting worse and worse. Yep, checkmate. So you might be wondering, what happened with that one move? So en passant was created when shortly after the rule of a pawn can move 2 squares on the first move. That's an option. It was created soon after that rule was put in place. Because what people realized is when the pawn moved 2 squares, it could evade the capture of a nearby pawn. And the makers of chess realized that this was not fair at all. So what they did is they created a rule called en passant, which means in passing. And what that means is if a pawn is on the 5th rank and a pawn on the 7th rank uses the move of 2 to evade capture, like this, like so, then the white pawn, or the pawn that's on the 5th rank can capture this pawn like as if it moved here. Exact same way. That is how that works. En passant, you have to do it on the move of, because if you wait, then, yeah, see, you can't do it anymore. So you have to do it on the move of, the very same move. I can't think of any other conditions that this would have to meet. But yeah, as you can see, you can blunder games by falling for the en passant rule, and you can also win games by knowing the en passant rule. I mean, literally knowing the en passant rule will boost your rating points it will literally boost your rating. It's literally free rating points by just knowing this little rule. So, I mean, probably the easiest rating points you'll ever accumulate. And then there's also promotion, which I just showed you, and then the last rule here is castles. And as you can see, this is a very artificial position here. So really why I sent this to you, this position would never happen in a real game, as you can probably already tell. But the reason why I set this up is because I wanted to demonstrate to you the 5 times when you cannot castle. So, so the five times that you cannot castle at all is first, you cannot castle through check. So as you can see, this bishop covers this f1 square. So when the king castles, you probably already know what the move castles looks like. The king, for king side specifically, the king moves here, the rook moves here. The king moves through this f1 square, which is already guarded. So the king cannot move through check. So castling here is not a legal move. The king cannot castle into check. If we look at castling queen side on this one, the king moves here, the rook moves here. The bishop covers this square. That means that the king would be castling into check. And it's also castling through check because the bishop covers this square. So it's breaking 2 of them simultaneously. That means that castling queenside is not a legal move for Black either. And also, another thing, it cannot castle out of check. If White plays the move here, and then Black plays this bishop check, you'll notice how if I click on the king, one of the options is not to castle. Castling is not an option, because you cannot castle out of check. A good move here would be c3, probably the best move here actually, but one of the moves is not castle, because you cannot castle out of check. That just does not make any sense. And then the final reason why you can't castle is because there are pieces in the way. So if you go back here, for example, you can no longer castle queenside. You, like, let's say, make a random move. You can, like, why can't I? Oh, it's because, okay, so let's just do that and block this up. Now you can see how I can't castle queenside because this bishop's in the way, but I can castle kingside. I cannot in this position because I've already moved the king. That's actually a sixth condition that I forgot to mention. If you have moved the king or the rook previously, you cannot castle. If you've moved the king, you cannot castle on either side. If you have only moved the rook, you cannot castle on that side of the board, but you could try castling on the other side of the board. And that's pretty much it for special rules. Thank you for watching.